What's going on, everybody, and welcome back to the Hardwood Convos podcast here on the 515 Podcast Network. I'm Brock Bierman alongside, as always, with the boys, Hunter Rose and Dawson Livingston. Been a couple weeks, been some great basketball going on, though, here in the NBA. That's what this podcast focuses on. We're going to recap the conference semifinals matchups that concluded last night and then give a little preview to the conference finals. I'm a little shocked, I'm not going to lie, that we see Dawson here after kind of the embarrassment that
Hey, it's all
the
good, man.
Celtics gave the Cavaliers, even though, hey, you guys got one game, but every team gets one game in Boston against the Celtics for some reason in the playoffs. But yeah, how are we feeling, boys? I know, Hunter, you're the Bucks got eliminated in the first round. How has your viewing experience been from someone that doesn't necessarily have a dog in the fight anymore in the NBA playoffs?
Worst playoffs in NBA history. I'm saying
Worse,
right now.
worse than the Raptors?
Easily. Sick and tired of the Pacers injury run.
Okay, so you're on the Pacers asterisk run. Okay.
Yep.
Because I've already gotten texts from people saying, yo, the Celtics win this year. You can't count this whatsoever. And I'm like, first of all, anybody that says that this year specifically is an asterisk, you can put an asterisk by pretty much any NBA title when you look back on it hard enough. Over the NBA history, there's always something that shows up in the playoffs or that contributes to one team winning or not. And this year's no different. Obviously, injuries are a big issue. Is there a certain matchup that you guys are wanting to recap real quick in the conference semifinals?
I mean, I'm sure we'll touch on it at some point, but the series that ended last night, that Wolves Nuggets series, was one of the better series that I've seen in a while. I know the scores, like there was a lot of blowouts in that series, but oh man, that game 7 was one of the most enjoyable games to watch, especially as someone who doesn't have a dog in the fight and just wanted to see a good game. The rally that the Timberwolves were on in the second half was just unbelievable.
I was honestly about to say, like, I'm sorry, I know it went 7 games, but the media makes this series look a lot more competitive than it actually was in the games. It just was who was on fire that night. I mean, one game, what was it, like 115-70 in favor of the Timberwolves? And hey, the Timberwolves defense is elite, which in the NBA, if you have an elite defense, I think we all three of us can agree that the NBA actually does play some good defense. People just don't realize how talented some of these players are on the offensive end. But the Timberwolves defense is on a different level compared to some previous elite defenses that we've seen in NBA history.
Yeah. I think the big thing is like, sure, if I were to name one person on the team that like you could headhunt, it'd probably be Mike Conley just because of his size. And he's still like not a bad defender by any means. It's like there's no one on that team you can just be like, all right, we're gonna find this, we're gonna like, give the ball to, Murray or Jokic or whoever it is, and just let him work, find the right matchup. It's like, no, you can't really do that here. It's just scary all around.
Yeah, and Dawson, you've been on this Timberwolves team all year, pretty much from the preseason as well. What did you see in this team, and have they honestly exceeded your expectations? Because this defense, this team in general, not just the defense, has blown me out of the water. I'm not going to lie.
As someone who thought the T-Wolves would do good, this blows my expectations for them preseason like completely out of the water. Like, I was thinking that they'd win 50-ish games, get the 4 or 5 seed, maybe make the second round and be done. But the playoff run that they're on right now, sweeping the Suns, who I know you can say what you want about the Suns, but that's still a team with Durant. That's still a team with Booker. They have a lot of offense, and Minnesota, frankly, just shut them down completely. And then to defeat the defending champs in 7, I don't think you can talk good enough about the Timberwolves. Not just, I know Anthony Edwards gets all the praise as he should, but guys like Mike Conley's been playing awesome this playoff run. Jaden McDaniels has been locking down the opposing team's best player. He locked down Kevin Durant. The one that shocked me is Rudy Gobert. I did not see this resurrection of his career. I thought after they made the trade last year, I thought we're potentially looking at a guy who's going to be off the T-Wolves in a year or two, and just one of the worst contracts in the league, but now just won the Defensive Player of the Year. And I know he struggled in the series against Jokic, but I think Jokic makes every defender look like a bad defender. But no, I definitely didn't see any of this coming from the Timberwolves.
Hey, I mean, Jokic struggled in Game 7. He looked mortal. Not that we thought he was superhuman. I know Hunter loves harping on how Jokic gets a little too much praise, but 2 of 10 from the three-point line. I feel like at one point in the fourth quarter, he was just forcing stuff up, which, I mean, he still finished 34 points and 19 rebounds, I think the stat line was. But 2 for 10 from the three-point line, 13 of 28 from the field. That's still not necessarily amazing whatsoever, even though the numbers on the actual stats outside of the shooting, field goal percentage, looks pretty good for Jokic.
Don't take this quote out of context, all right? We, as a culture, need to go back to a shameful society, because how in the world are we in the second round of the NBA playoffs, not even finishing with the second round, and we already had best in the world talk with Jokic? Like, get that out of here. We as a society used to wait until the finals, wait for the final buzzer, who got the crown, and that's who it was. No, we aren't even in the Western Conference Finals, and we're like, oh, Jokic is the best basketball player in the world. Well, here we are. He's in Cancun. Good job.
Well, who's the best player in the world?
Not Jokic. We're waiting still. And if it's Tatum, you can shoot me, but
I didn't say that. I wasn't trying to get you to say that whatsoever, because I don't believe it.
But no, I'm tired of that. Secondly, second call out here. We're going to take it back to the regular season here. The worst true shooting percentage in the NBA this past year was Scoot Henderson. I don't think that shocks anybody.
Wait. Before you keep going, Dawson picked Scoot Henderson.
Man, we're not bringing this up, man.
To win rookie of the year.
I got the T-Wolves. I'm going to ride that one till I die. The Scoot Henderson take and die.
Yeah, we won't go on that too long. But anyway, Scoot Henderson at 48.9%. According to certain media members, Mr. Future Hall of Famer Jamal Murray shot 47.4% true shooting percentage in the NBA playoffs this past year. Let's let that sink in.
He was only good in the fourth quarter.
Can we get this man
some games?
Can we get all the Nuggets out of talks they don't belong in? I can't take it anymore. I already live 6 hours closer to Denver than I did before. That's already enough for me. And here we are doing this. I don't get it.
Hey, I mean, Jamal Murray did have 35 points last night, but shot 4 of 12 from 3 and 13 of 27 from the field.
What's that smell?
And he had some bad games against the Lakers, but no one's going to talk about that because, the game winners that he had.
If Darvin Ham is able to close out some of those games and the Lakers are able to win, we're not talking about the Nuggets in the second round losing the T-Wolves. We're talking about the Nuggets losing in the first round of the Lakers. Because the Nuggets, what were they, down 10 in almost every single game?
Yeah.
And the Lakers would do some dumb adjustments at the end of the third quarter, start of the fourth, and Nuggets get on a run. And you're right, Jamal didn't play well in that Lakers series. I mean, he had the buzzer beater and the last second shot, which is awesome. Glad he hit those, but he didn't play well in that series whatsoever.
Nope.
So I think that kind of glossed over people's minds that, oh, now that he has a bad playoff series, like, oh, his first round wasn't too good either.
Yeah. And I mean, you look at the plus minus numbers for this game 7. Only one player on the Nuggets was plus in anything. And that was I think it was Justin Holiday.
Yep.
And he had plus 10. Everybody else was minus. Aaron Gordon minus 14, only had 4 points. The support, I will say, if there is a dynamic duo in Murray and Jokic, depending on who you talk to, if that's a legit dynamic duo or not, the supporting cast did not show up in this game for the Nuggets whatsoever. And you can't win with a dynamic duo anymore in the NBA. Just look at the Celtics. They have not been able to win one championship with the duo that they put together. But Aaron Gordon, minus 14. Porter Jr., minus 9. Jokic, minus 9. Murray, minus 8. And Caldwell Pope, minus 6. That's their starters. Then you look at the Timberwolves. all of their starters are plus double digits. You got McDaniels at plus 12, Gobert at plus 10, Towns at plus 10, Conley at plus 14, and Edwards at plus 11. The Timberwolves starting lineup was efficient last night. Granted, they did shoot really well, but the Nuggets shot better from the field, and they still lost.
I think, and I've harped on this guy because I'm not a huge Rudy Gobert fan, but that Dirk Nowitzki fade shot that he had with like 5 minutes to go in the game, that's kind of one of those shots that goes in and it's just, you're sitting there, not even as a Nuggets fan, as someone who's just watching the series, like, oh, this is over. If Gobert is hitting those kind of shots in this kind of run, they're not coming back whatsoever.
And right after the game, Anthony Edwards was interviewed, by Inside the NBA, which, by the way, if that show goes under, it's going to be a sad, sad day for the NBA because that is one of the best things in just sports entertainment all over, like any sport, no matter what league it is. That's one of the best things that they got going. But right after the game, they asked him about everything. He gave credit to all of his teammates when everybody, again, like Hunter says, a lot of people like to jump the gun on giving people their flowers. And right now, a lot of people are debating whether or not Anthony Edwards is considered the best player in the world. I know that sounds crazy to think about, but people are really, I've seen people say it on social media, which social media is crazy anyways, but he kept getting asked like about his performance and everything. And he was like, no, it's all my teammates. And I'm really starting to like this Anthony Edwards guy because coming into the league, a lot of people had some red flags about him. Was he committed on wanting to be an NBA guy? Was he willing to put in the work to become this elite star that he's becoming right now? Because I remember watching the draft and there were questions about that as well. And fortunately, he ended up in a situation that resulted in a great team because Towns needed somebody to support him on the scoring column, and Anthony Edwards was that guy. And I don't know if he's top 5 yet in the league, but he's definitely getting closer and closer to that conversation.
I think if they're able to, sorry, Hunter, but
No,
I
go
think
ahead.
if they're able to beat Dallas and go to the finals, I think he's a solidified top 5 player. I think that take needs to be out there. And if they somehow win the finals, which I don't foresee happening, but crazy things happen in the NBA. If they end up winning the finals,
we got to remember it's Minnesota, the city that has a lot of luck in the playoffs of any sport.
Yeah, Blair Walsh. Oh man, I'm just trying to think of other ones.
All the Vikings playoff runs.
Brett Favre throwing it back in the middle of the field against the Saints. That's a good one. But no, if they're able to win this round and even the finals, we got to start talking about Anthony Edwards and this Timberwolves team in a different spectrum, especially their defense. I think their defense they're one of the best defensive teams in the last 10 years.
Oh, without a doubt.
Yeah. I mean, if you look at the players so far in the playoffs that have over 10 games played so far, because, it's kind of hard to judge players that have only played one round. He's top 4 in scoring, points per game. And I mean, he's shooting 50% from the field, which for a guy his size is massively, like, that's an accomplishment in of itself, especially come playoff time. That's tough to do. So, yeah, and especially leading his team now in the way, I think even just the way, I mean, dude is a funny dude. But just even the way he carries himself, even with that kind of joking attitude at times, it's like, nah, like you can tell them doubters before he got drafted are scratching their heads now because this man wants to win. Like, it doesn't matter how, he just wants to win, which is always fun to watch.
Yeah, he's gonna be a fun guy to watch the next couple of years, and I firmly believe in. We can get into a different team later on in the podcast on this conversation. This isn't a fluke run for the Timberwolves. I think that they have set themselves up for a decent future. Whether that's a long future of 10 years of success, it might be a little stretched depending on their roster turnover and the current age of certain players that are contributing. But I definitely think that they're going to be a force to be reckoned with in the NBA for the next couple of years. But before we move on to a different matchup, I wanted to mention this. So I had to go and support some people at convocation and graduation at Iowa State last week. First of all, graduation should not take 2.5 hours, and that was in the short. That we were the ceremony I had to sit through was the short one out of all of them. So fortunate with that, but convocation is like just the college that the person's graduating from, and it was the College of LAS. Not even like half of the student body shows up. It's like I don't even know if it's a fourth of what graduation usually is. But anyways, I see on the opposite side of Hilton Coliseum someone hung up on their seat a Nas Reed flag, and I am not making this up. I should have gotten a photo of it, but this dude was waving this Nas Reed flag the entire time, and I was like, first of all, who just has a Nas Reed flag? Second, that is the coolest thing ever because no one would ever have a Nas Reed flag that I know of.
That's
Bro,
crazy.
they gave away like Nas Reed towels like to everyone that came to a game, and that was crazy. There's some 80-year-old that got a Nas Reed tattoo, like some 80-year-old grandma. Nas Reed like quote tweeted it and was like, "Game recognized game" or something like that. I don't know, but it was crazy.
Nas Reed has made a conference finals before Joel Embiid. Like, let that
Crazy.
sink in for a second. And Nas was a huge contributor on this Timberwolves run.
6th man of the year.
Yep.
So they will move on, and they will play against a team that I feel has been undervalued all year. I don't think a lot of people, Hunter and I were kind of on, Hunter specifically was on the Mavericks earlier in the year. This Mavericks team, like I mentioned with the Timberwolves, these aren't, I don't think these two runs are flukes. When we get to the other side, I think we can talk about whether or not it's a fluke or not. But the Mavericks, they've been to a, right? This is his second conference
They
final.
made it the year that they played the Warriors. And they lost it like 4 or 5.
Yep. And like that run, it was like a first time. It could be honestly, could be a similar situation the Timberwolves are going to go through right now. Not that I'm saying the Mavericks are on the level of the Warriors of that year, but the Mavericks have been there. They really haven't, like the 2 star players of their team have been to this point of a postseason play. One of them has hit a huge shot in an NBA Finals before to help win a championship. And then they have some great surrounding parts as well. I think Derek Lively versus Rudy Gobert is going to be actually a very fun matchup to watch throughout this series. Anthony Edwards versus Kyrie is going to be fun to watch. McDaniels versus Luka, just because Luka, as much as I love watching Luka, the dude is a prima donna sometimes with how he acts. But this is honestly my favorite matchup that could have happened in the Western Conference. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah, I'm excited. I think it'll be some stellar basketball. I mean, similarly of how we just mentioned, Nas Reed has now made conference finals before Joel Embiid. 25-year-old Luka Doncic has now made 2 before Joel Embiid has made 1.
He's only 25. That blows my mind.
He's younger than Shea.
That's
by
crazy.
like a few months or something like that. That's close, but they're in the same draft class.
Sure.
But yeah, I mean, like you said, it's like I think regardless if they win or lose, which me personally, I'm cheering for the Mavs. But regardless if they win or lose, it's like they are now at a place where it's like, all right, you know, I'm not sold on the way some people are talking about like the Mavs being the super young team that has years and years and years ahead of them. It's like, yeah, they're a younger team, you know, especially helps having Kyrie. Well, I mean, you have Kyrie who's 32, oldest on the team. Having him for a few more years at least, and Luka being 25. A lot of their roster is pretty young, but it's like their window is longer than most. And it's I don't want to say peak already, but it's up there already, which is really helpful. And so I think whether they win or lose this matchup, it's going to be bright lights that are not too bright ahead of them, which will be fun to see moving forward. But
yeah, Dawson, what do you got?
I'm curious to see how Minnesota's going to defend Luka and Kyrie. Whether like Hunter said, they put Anthony Edwards on Kyrie, and they put Jaden McDaniels on Luka, or they do different variations of that. I'm curious who the Mavs are going to put on Cat, because Cat's a huge mismatch against any team. He's a 7-footer that could he could shoot 40% from three, and he could score from anywhere on the court. So that'll be fun to watch. Um, Not really like, I know like Luka and Ant Man are in the series, but not like a huge like superstar matchup when you think of guys like LeBron, Curry, the established guys. No established guys in this. Maybe Luka, I guess. But no, it should be one of the more entertaining series that we get in the playoffs.
It's Big Purr, not Cat, by the way. But anyways, I think this is going to be a great matchup. Of course, we're referencing the Dallas Mavericks, who were able to come out on top against the Thunder. 4-2 was the series on that one. What, I guess, going back to the Thunder and the Nuggets, how would you guys recap their season, or like if you could put a bow on their season, whether it's good or bad? Thunder for me would be similar. You're going to see a trend with some of these teams that I keep mentioning: the Timberwolves, the Mavericks, and the Thunder. All three of them, I feel like, have a bright future in the Western Conference, which is going to just make this conference even more difficult because there's still teams that I feel like are going to be in contention over the next couple of years as well, especially heading into this offseason. I think some teams out west are definitely going to be making moves to be title contenders come next season. But Thunder, I feel like out of the two that got eliminated from the West heading into this offseason, the Thunder, I feel like, have a better shot to be back in this position or to go further next season than the Denver Nuggets. I actually am a little worried about this Denver Nuggets team because, yeah, they won the first round, but like we mentioned, they were down pretty much all those games. What was it? They were only up for 9 minutes total in the first round. And
Yeah.
that's not like I don't think enough people are talking about how bad of a run this actually was for the Nuggets. Yeah, did they blow out the Timberwolves a couple times? Yeah, but they also only put up 70 in one game against the Timberwolves. So I think, yeah, you have an MVP caliber player. Whether or not he deserved it this year or not is a different conversation. But I'm not buying Denver Nuggets stock for the future.
I think the thing that's helpful for them right now is that a lot of their guys are still around for a few years. They're going to be able to wait a couple years before they have to pay Jamal Murray again. And a lot of their younger guys are still on their rookie contracts that have those team options, which is going to be really helpful to save money because, I mean, they're already contributing. But it's like, especially after, let's see here. Yeah, after this next season, probably we're going to see maybe a little bit of a potential drop in how much money they can actually give out. And especially, I mean, Jokic already plays like an old dude, but he's not getting any younger. So,
What do you think about the Thunder's future?
I think they're still good. It's going to be tough, and I think the thing that's really helpful for this next upcoming offseason is they get to get rid of that atrocious Gordon Hayward contract now. It's gone, so they have money to actually like bring in somebody. The problem's going to be in a few years now. And they are also probably going to get rid of Josh Giddey. That's the other thing that's helpful. That guy sucked. He was the worst player on their team this past offseason. And goodbye and good riddance for multiple reasons to that man in the NBA, hopefully. But yeah, I could see in a few years potentially seeing some problems. But especially with how many picks they have, showing that they can already win and having a pretty cheap payroll for at least probably 2 or 3 years. They could be really, really dangerous come this next season.
Dawson, I'll let you recap the Nuggets and Thunder season real quick, and then I actually want to ask you a question about not necessarily a hypothetical trade. I don't know all of the cap situation if it would work out, but I do have a trade that I want to run by you.
Yeah, I'm going to start with the Nuggets. Obviously, when you're a defending champ and you lose in the second round, not ideal. But there's the stat out there: the last 6 champions haven't been able to make it out of the second round the following year. So maybe this is just a new trend that we see. I mean, we've had 6 different NBA champions over the last 6 years. So maybe Denver just caught a bad run. I also don't think they were a very deep team. They couldn't really rely on their bench. I think losing guys like Jeff Green and Bruce Brown really hurt them. I mean, Bruce Brown didn't have an amazing season with the Raptors and the Pacers, but dude, he was amazing in that finals run for him. Same with a guy like Jeff Green. Hopefully they can go in free agency and find similar guys like that. With the Thunder, obviously great season. I do think that they're gonna have to consolidate some of these picks and push for a superstar or something because, like you said, they're gonna come up with financial issues in the next few years when Jalen Williams needs paid and Chet Holmgren needs paid, and when Shea gets the next supermax and they got 3 max contracts on the roster. I would have liked to see him get like another big guy at the deadline this year, or maybe they can do that in the offseason. Um, yeah. Overall, though, I mean, you can't be really disappointed when your team wins 57 games. Um, so yeah, I really like the way the Thunder season went.
I don't know if I'm just completely blowing this out of the water. Is there any chance that the Oklahoma City Thunder could call Cleveland about Donovan Mitchell?
Ooh, that is not the name I thought you would say, but I mean, it depends. I mean,
You thought I was going to say Evan Mobley?
No, I thought you were going to go a completely different direction and bring the hometown. I thought you were going to say Kevin Durant. Let's get Kevin Durant back in OKC.
Dude, I'm sorry, but I would absolutely hate the Thunder. I like the Thunder right now. If they did that, I would. No, but
okay.
Go on though. Go on.
Oh man.
Do you want to see? Do you want to see KD back in Oklahoma City?
I think that would be cool. I don't know if they would win the title. I think it would be really fun. And if they did win the title, I mean, kind of did what LeBron did back in 2016. You win the team that drafted you. A little different because you got to trade for him. But I think it'd be cool.
That the Thunder are actually good right now.
Yeah. But going back to your Donovan Mitchell one, man, I don't want to even talk about Mitchell getting traded. I'm conflicted right now where it's like, hey, you know what, blow up the whole team and trade everyone for picks and restart. Or it's like, hey, we can trade one of either Jared Allen or Darius Garland and really build off this team because I think this team's got really good potential still. It just depends on what the Thunder be willing to give up. I don't think, like, once you drop off their top 3 of Shea, Chet, and J-Dub, do they really have, like, the assets and contracts to get a guy like Donovan? I think people are going to be shocked if Donovan gets traded for how much he goes for, because I think he's that good of a player and he can impact winning that much. But I think, objectively, I think it would be a crazy good fit with him and Shea in the backcourt, but I just do not want to see it as a Cleveland fan.
I did a hypothetical trade where it's funny that Hunter mentioned Josh Giddey. But it was Giddey. It was Giddey and 4 first round picks for Donovan Mitchell.
Nope. I don't want that guy on my team. Sorry. Don't.
Not even for 4 first rounders?
Nope. Don't care. Give me 5 first rounders and don't give me Josh Giddey. How about that? I just do not want Josh Giddey on my team. Not only was he bad in the playoff run, he has some other issues that are with him that I don't want associated with my team.
Hunter, what do you think about Donovan Mitchell potentially? I don't know if this is actually a rumor or anything. This is just something I thought of while we were talking about Donovan Mitchell potentially going to Oklahoma City.
I think there definitely could be potential. If I'm the Cavs, I'm gonna want to hear a lot more than just that. And especially, I mean, the thing that I'm sorry to Cavs fans in Dawson is like the amount of just coverage on the Cavs during the playoffs. Half of it wasn't even about the game. It was just like, all right, where's Donovan Mitchell going? And then all of a sudden, as soon as they lost, it was like, oh, everyone hates Jared Allen because he didn't take horse tranquilizers to keep playing the basketball game. And then, oh, if Donovan Mitchell gets traded, they're gonna have to trade Darius Garland too. It's like stop. Stop. Actually, this is a team that literally has been in the playoffs the past 2 years now and is like on the cusp of being there at that next level. And so I do think if he's not happy there, it's like you kind of do have to figure something out. If it's the Thunder, like I'm asking for as much as I can if you're getting those 4 first-round picks, I want somebody besides
Might as
Josh
well
Giddey
just
on
give
my
him
team.
even more than 4 first rounders.
Yeah.
Because like this is a guy that could really elevate your team. If you were the Thunder, and I want to open this up to both of you, who would you rather have, KD or Donovan Mitchell?
Donovan.
Probably Donovan Mitchell.
And
I think it is tough though, with both of them being so on ball reliant. I think KD has maybe a little bit more potential to be catch and shoot, which Donovan Mitchell could still be catch and shoot. But
yeah,
do you think? And I hate that we're talking about him because they didn't even make it out of the first round. They didn't even win a game in the first round. Is there anything KD can do to like resurrect his legacy?
nope.
who knows?
Because
Well,
like
I guess
Assassin.
if he won with Phoenix next year, Phoenix won the whole thing, maybe. But that's not going to happen with the mess of contracts that they have and the no draft picks that they have for the next 10 years. I mean,
Whoa! We can't forget they have the Mike Budenholzer now. Okay,
Coach
shout out
Bud.
my boy Bud. All right,
I
getting that
know.
bag.
I wanted to talk about him, Hunter. How do you feel to know that someone else, some other franchise, is gonna have to go through the Mike Budenholzer experience?
Don't get me wrong. Like they're gonna win so many regular season games now. I as much crap as I give Coach Bud, he is a good guy.
He helped you win a title.
Especially he won a title with us. That last series, he was going through a lot of things that kind of got uncovered after the series was over that a lot of people felt bad about because they were like, "Oh man, I just like slandered this man's name and he's going through some like deep personal things." And so I think it's probably good for him to take that year break, and now he's back. And I mean, I know it seemed like it was all smiles even afterwards when they were talking with him about like, oh, how's it feel to be in Phoenix? He's like, hey, thank you, the Milwaukee Bucks, for giving me this opportunity. Even them and the Hawks too. Obviously, had a lot of success in Atlanta, in the regular season as well. But yeah, I mean, I'll be intrigued how the play random strategy does with Devin Booker, Kevin Durant, and Bradley Beal. So
I tell you what, last time I heard a coach just kind of plays random. His team's the number 1 seed in the Eastern Conference and getting ready to play a conference final. So who knows? It may work out for the Phoenix Suns, but I doubt it. But getting back to the NBA playoffs, there's not really much. I guess, what are your guys' thoughts on the Celtics 4-1 series win against the Cleveland Cavaliers? I'm sorry, Dawson. We have to talk about it.
Y'all really making me go through something. You'll talk about Donovan Mitchell getting traded. Now we got to talk about the series where we just got
Dawson,
absolutely smacked.
You're a Chiefs fan. You're fine.
I know.
You're fine. You are fine. No, but like, what did you guys think? I mean, the Celtics played a very, very bad game 2, and that's a common trend for the Celtics. I think they have a losing record at home in the playoffs the last 2 or 3 years, which is, in my opinion, a major red flag that nobody is. I mean, the NBA announcers are mentioning it, but I don't think it's being emphasized enough how important that is, especially because Hunter just mentioned Coach Bud. The Celtics had a great record at home. I think they were undefeated until January at home. And now in the playoffs, they just can't. They only lost 1 game at home, but still, 1 game, and it was a very bad performance. It's one thing to lose on the road and play really bad. It's another to do it at home. But how do you guys recap this series? I mean, Tatum isn't putting up like the numbers that points-wise, he's not putting up the numbers that we are used to seeing him in the playoffs where he's putting up 30, 35, close to 40. But he's doing an all-around great effort for the Celtics where he's going 24 points, 10-ish rebounds, I think almost 6 assists as well, which is great from a key player, the number 1 player for the Celtics. It seems like they're going to be out without Porzingis for the beginning of the conference finals. Maybe he joins late, but how would you guys recap the series between the Celtics and Cavaliers?
I think game 2 was a huge wake-up call for Boston. Like you said, Tatum hadn't been playing that well in the playoffs. I know they beat Miami in 5, and I know they beat Cleveland, but I think game 2 was the real wake-up call that he needed. Because games 3 and 4 in Cleveland, where it's like, yeah, you probably are favored to beat the Cavs. Yeah, you probably will beat the Cavs, but those are still like road games that you need to win because you want to get these series wrapped up as quick as you can.
And
you don't
LeBron's
want to...
there.
Right. You don't want to drag on these playoff series if you don't have to. Rest is key in this late in the season. I mean, Boston's only had to play 10 playoff games, and then you look at a team like the Pacers who've had to play already 13, which is 3 more playoff games. So, I don't know. As a Cavs fan, yeah, it sucks, but Boston just thoroughly outplayed Cleveland, especially games 3 through 5. Um, they would be kind of close in the first half, and then Boston would just blow the door open in the second half, which is what good teams are supposed to do, and what I believe they're going to continue doing in the playoffs.
Yeah, I'm tired of Derek White, man. I need that man to not be on the
For
Boston
what
Celtics.
reasons?
Well, I mean, what was it? Game 3 and game 4, he struggled more. Even
Game
game 2, a
5, he
little
only had
bit.
5 points.
Yeah. But yeah, especially even that first round, and then even in the closeout game, or not the closeout game, it was a game 1 against the Cavs that he played better. It helps out that he's able to pick up some of the load that Porzingis not being there points wise helps out a lot. And I mean, he's always going to have his defense too, or at least the threat of it, even if he is underperforming on either side of the ball. Yeah, I think overall, I'm just tired of watching the Celtics, man.
I mean,
I don't want to see. I hate this East like so much. Like big 2 thumbs downs for me.
but like, what are the Celtics doing that's making you mad?
Because they're the Celtics, Brock. And I gotta watch Jason Superstar Tatum go 4th quarter. I trust Derek White, and then he gets awarded
Derek White
for it.
is shooting 44% from the
Exactly.
So is it more of this team just doesn't make sense how they're able to get wins or how they're able to do it?
Partially.
I get that.
And I don't want to see another Jason Tatum text to Kobe in the finals saying, I got you.
I got you,
To then
man.
pass the ball to Derek White in the 4th quarter.
To do exactly the opposite of what Kobe would do in the clutch.
It's just frustrating as like an NBA fan when like this like Jaylen Brown could be playing like awful. Jason Tatum could be shooting 12 of 30 or 7 of 23 or some awful. And then there's freaking Derek White in the corner. He's got, you look at the box score, he's got 8 threes, he's got 32 points. It's like, shouldn't the Celtics be losing this game by 20 if their top 2 players are playing like this?
NFL, they talk about the system quarterback all the time. Derek White is a system.
Derek White might be the system. Okay,
he is the system. I thought it was Marcus Smart.
No,
Marcus Smart gets traded, and all of a sudden, Derek White. Granted, in the playoffs, Derek White the last 3 years has been actually really impressive. Pretty much every series, but like even in the regular season this year, Derek White went to another level that we haven't seen consistency wise from him. And you mentioned how like their top players don't have to be unbelievable. How is Peyton Pritchard like one of the best offensive rebounders in the NBA right now? Or at least it seems like anytime he comes up with an offensive rebound, it's like the biggest offensive rebound of the game. And he's like what, 5'11", it seems like. I mean, they probably list him at 6'1", but he's probably 5'11" if we're being honest. But you got Luke Cornett.
Oh man, dude,
out here actually putting up decent numbers. Dude had a good game against the Cavs.
He did, bro.
I gotta remember which game that was.
I think was it 5?
Game 5.
Closeout game.
He had 8 points, man. 3 of 3 from the field,
dude.
I mean, had 10 rebounds in game 2. Game 1 he had 10 rebounds. Doing the closeout 3-point shot from the paint. I think the thing that people aren't used to with the Celtics team, Jason Tatum, in my opinion, I will say is like borderline, barely even top 10. I'm not even joking about that. That's just because of consistency. When he's on his game, he's hard to beat. But like, there's moments like Hunter mentioned that he'll be passive, or he's just not shooting the ball well whatsoever. He can go really, really cold, and when he goes cold, he might as well be passive. But there's games where he's hot and he's not wanting to shoot for some reason. But the thing with this team that I don't think many people like understand is we're so used to having like these teams that are really, really good, but there's that one guy that just always is there consistently producing for this team. Luka Doncic with the Mavericks. Luka's not playing well. Mavericks aren't going to win. And I think what the Celtics have done is that they've been able to put together a roster that they don't have to rely on one or even two guys, which is a good thing for them. And it's one of the first like legit teams that the NBA has seen in a while. I would probably say the Bucks from their championship run was a good system and team that they put together that helped them win that title as well. But you look at other teams, I'm sorry, the Celtics series against the Warriors, that was pretty much just Curry. The Raptors championship, that was Kawhi. There's just that one guy. Yes, Jason Tatum is going to be probably considered that guy if the Celtics ever do win a championship, but this is a legit team that they've put together, and Porzingis helps them greatly, and they're going to need Porzingis to be able to finish this off, especially against a team and the Pacers that have two good post players that are able to actually stretch the floor as well, which we can get into the Pacers as well, and how I actually think I have a team that I'm going to compare them to in a little bit of this run. But the Pacers did beat the New York Knicks in New York. Game 7, shot the ball unbelievably. I think they shot 74% in the first half. I don't know what the final percentage was by the end of the game, 67%. So it went down a little bit, but still, they literally shot better than I think any other first half a team has ever shot in the NBA playoffs. 130 to 109 was the final score in this one. But the Knicks, as much as that was a great win for the Pacers, and I know I mentioned that you can put an asterisk on any series. If there was an asterisk on this one, it wouldn't say injuries. It would say Tom Thibodeau. That is the asterisk on this New York Knicks team that had a great season, but the team reminded me so much of those early 2010 Chicago Bulls teams where they had some good role players, but the problem is that their star players weren't playing because they were out. So they had freak injuries. Jalen Brunson getting hurt in Game 7 was not ideal, and that wasn't necessarily at all because of, maybe wear and tear. That was just a freak accident. But they've missed some key players in key moments because I believe Tom Thibodeau overworks his players in the playoffs. And in my opinion, I am usually someone that's completely against this. I do believe the New York Knicks should move on from Tom Thibodeau because this will be a consistent thing and it's going to just result in more and more issues down the line. What are your guys' thoughts on the New York versus Indiana series?
I mean, yeah, you nailed it. This series is on Tibbs and his overuse of players. Yeah, I mean, it doesn't help that, like, even before the playoffs started, Julius Randle wasn't playing. And people can poo-poo on Julius Randle all they want. He's a playoff contributor. I know his numbers may not say it, but he helps this Knicks team a lot more than, no offense, than Precious Achiuwa does in the fourth quarter. So I think that didn't really help them. Obviously, even with the Jalen Brunson injury, I don't think they were going to win yesterday. I mean, the Pacers were on one of the biggest heaters I've seen since, was it the Spurs that just shot the lights out against the Heat that last year with LeBron?
Yep.
It was a game 3 or something when Danny Green looked like the greatest player of all time.
Back when people thought Danny Green was like the second coming of Jesus.
Yeah. When Danny Green, Patty Mills, oh man, Matt Bonner, was he on the team? Just trying to think of
Tiago Splitter, was he on the roster?
I think he was. When they were just shooting the lights out. But I don't know. I think New York is still in a good place. They're an attractive destination for any free agent. And there's always the thing that Donovan Mitchell wants to go. I know we keep bringing this name
I don't
up,
think it'll work there.
I don't think so either, but the Knicks have a lot of draft picks. They have like assets to go get, maybe not Donovan Mitchell, but maybe unnamed superstar A that could pop up in trade rumors. Because it seems like there's one every year. I didn't even hear what you said.
LeBron.
No. I don't think LeBron would do it. I truly don't. But
Well, it depends if Bronny gets drafted there. Apparently, he did really well in the combine, depending on who you're talking to.
hey, Bronny's going to Cleveland, and so is LeBron. That's another day.
That's why he was there, right?
Mm-hmm.
To watch his Cavaliers lose.
Totally not to recruit Donovan Mitchell to LA. Totally not. But I still think the Knicks are set up for success. Obviously, Jalen Brunson's still going to be really good. He does have 2 years left on his deal, I believe. He's got one guaranteed, and then he's got a player option, which he'll probably opt out of for a bigger contract. So I think that could really narrow your roster down, especially when Brunson's not making I think he's making like $26 million, which for a player of his caliber is a absolute bargain. I think he's going to command well over 40 to 50 million. I still like the Knicks in their future and their outlook, but I do think that they're going to look back on this series and be like, man, we let this one get away from us just because some bad injury luck and some maybe mismanagement of some injuries.
Yeah, I'll talk about the Pacers later. I'm
gonna bring up something about the Pacers.
Yeah, no, I don't know. I think the Knicks, although I don't think it's a bad idea, Brock, I'd be shocked if the Knicks move on from Thibodeau just because of the success that has been there thus far. I mean, he's still like coaching wise, scheme wise, pretty good coach. Playing time wise, absolutely atrocious coach. And so I think especially because he brings that defensive identity that they just go so hard into, I think they'll have a hard time moving on from that and finding somebody to replace that. Unless they find some diamond, maybe they hire Adrian Griffin. I don't know, but yeah, no. I shout out Bucks legend Dante, talking it up. Love that guy. Still have my Bucks Dante jersey that I was wearing during these games. And so, but yeah, I think I agree with Dawson though. I think, especially I think it's both Randall and Brunson have their player option the same year. I will be very intrigued to see because depending on who and if they bring in anybody for free agency, either this offseason or next offseason, I don't think they're going to be able to keep both of them. I feel like you would have to keep Brunson over Randall just because of how he's been playing. But it's still like a question for them, I bet, and to see like what they could do with either one of those guys.
It'll be interesting to see if that comes into play with his dad being a part of the franchise down the line. I know we've talked about Thibodeau potentially getting fired, and I hate to go off track on our conversation with the playoffs. But I think since we last recorded a podcast, it has been reported that JJ Redick may be interested, maybe get in consideration for a position with the Los Angeles Lakers. Do you guys want to see JJ Redick as a head coach in the NBA? And if he went to LA, do you think it will work? Because I, for one, don't think it's going to work because JJ is hard-headed and he doesn't really take no. Like it's like if he's the type of guy, he puts off the vibe that if he walks in and he's the head coach, he's the coach. There is no GM. I don't know if that will work with LA if LeBron is there. And I hate saying if. It's just I really don't know what LeBron's plans are this year, and I don't think a lot of people do. I don't even think LeBron right now knows what he's going to do. I don't think it would work. I think JJ Redick should stay as a commentator / analyst. I think he might be a better college coach than a professional coach personally, just by how he presents himself and how he's been through the bit. He kind of reminds me a little bit of he's like a Tom Izzo version of Fred Hoiberg, where like he's been through the NBA process. He knows what it takes to make it to the big time, but he's also like an old school kind of coach where I feel like he would be like, get up in your face and yell at you until he's red. And that's the opposite between Hoiberg. For those that don't watch Hoiberg is like, oh, it's okay. Or at least that's the vibe that he puts off. I mean, when you're the head coach of Nebraska, there's not you can't get too angry about certain situations. But I don't think JJ Redick is a guy that should be considered for the LA job if LeBron's there. What are your guys' thoughts?
Yeah, if we are the LA Lakers here and we actually decide to use our brains and think about the last 2 years, and we say, Darvin Ham was a first-time head coach, and that didn't seem to work out well. And then I look at JJ Redick and I go, JJ Redick would be a first-time head coach, and his first job being in Los Angeles with the Lakers. I, for one, may present the idea that we should not hire JJ Redick as our head coach of the Los Angeles Lakers as his first head coach stint. I think in general, I would be intrigued to see how JJ would coach a team. I know one of the teams that's been brought up, I think towards the beginning of when it was asked about, was the Hornets. That would be interesting because the Hornets, I mean, Steve Clifford, I honestly don't hate Steve Clifford. I don't think he's like a terrible coach. I don't think he's probably the best fit for a team like the Hornets. But maybe JJ could like figure things out there, because for a while there were a lot of questions about the players that were on the Hornets roster. That was like, do these guys want to play basketball or are they trying to do something else here? Maybe a guy like JJ, especially if, like you even said, Brock, maybe a potential good college coach. Maybe that's even something that the Hornets need.
College coach.
Yeah, I think. Yeah.
Go ahead.
No, I agree though. I think he would be a good college coach, and that's why I think if there is an NBA team that should look at him, I think it should be the Hornets.
Looking back, granted, the move that Duke made was great with their current head coach, but like he would have been perfect for that replacement. And that's why, like, part of me is like, well, if he doesn't want to go there, I don't know why he would want to be an NBA coach. I guess it's the whole recruitment, not having to deal with NIL stuff that probably adds to it. Because I think right now that being an NBA coach is a little bit easier. And that's, people are going to take that out of context because being a head coach in the NBA is no easy task either. There's a reason certain people are in the college game right now, like Fred Hoiberg, like Calipari, like Pitino. All those guys tried the NBA, didn't work out, and now they're back in the college game, and some of them have had success since doing that. And I don't know. He just puts off college coach vibes. I think he'd be great, but if he goes to the Lakers, buckle up if you're a Lakers fan. And I don't know. If I'm the Lakers, I'm sorry. There's one guy that has gelled well with LeBron as a head coach. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong about this, but I feel like in LeBron's career, where he's had a lot of head coaches, he's had a lot of control, there's only been one coach that he's actually got along with 24/7, it seems like, and they had success at the same time, and that's Tyronn Lue. So I think that the Lakers should be calling Tyronn Lue and finding a way to get him in the building, especially if I'm Tyronn Lue. I don't know what my team's going to look like in the next coming season because the Clippers have hit a wall. I shouldn't have said we, because ESPN thought the Clippers' peak is multiple championships with this crew that Kawhi Leonard and Paul George were able to put together, even before the additions of James Harden and Russell Westbrook. We're still waiting for a conference finals appearance from these teams. And so, I don't know. Tyronn Lue, go back to your buddy LeBron. I think those two do gel well together. And that's one of the big reasons why the Cavaliers made that move to fire, was it David Blatt?
Mm-hmm.
And what happened? I mean, Dawson's happy that they probably made that move. Led to a championship for the Cleveland Cavaliers. I don't know. That's who I think the Lakers should go after. But I'm sorry for getting off on a little sidetrack about that. I just feel like we had to mention JJ Redick since he's been in the news a lot involving coaching positions.
If you're JJ, why would you want the Lakers job? Like, honestly, like, you're in the biggest spotlight, and every Lakers fan, they love when your coach gets first hired. They love it. It's like, oh, he's gonna be great. A year and a half later, they're like, you know what? He's the reason why we keep sucking. They ran Darvin Ham out, who I don't think was a good coach, but He had some success in the playoffs. They ran out Frank Vogel, who they won a title with. You could say it was the bubble. They won a title. They just don't like any of their coaches that they're hiring. And Hunter's right. Why not start off with a team where you're not going to get like scrutiny every single day with any move that you do? I mean, Lakers fans are still upset that Taurean Prince was getting more minutes than he probably should have, because Darvin Ham just kept playing him. So why would you want to put yourself under that kind of scrutiny? I think he could potentially be like an assistant. Why not? I mean, this is kind of a hypothetical. Why not become an assistant under Popovich, and then when Popovich decides to hang it up, it's like, hey, I can coach arguably one of the greatest prospects in the history of any professional sports in Victor Wembanyama. I don't know. If you're JJ, I mean, his gig right now is pretty nice too. Being a commentator, getting ready to run his podcast. I just don't see why taking the Lakers job makes a whole lot of sense for him or the Lakers, to be honest.
Some coaches get out of coaching to go into broadcasting because of the security, and they know that they don't really get fired for their job. Rex Ryan, I mean, the numerous NFL guys, NBA is different because it seems like it's a lot more former athletes that are going into broadcasting. But like, why would you want a position like you mentioned, Dawson? Like the Lakers run out coaches. Why would you want to be in a position where like you don't know if you're going to be in that position next year when you could probably make even more money doing what you're doing right now? Because he's probably making more right now than he probably made on a some of his contracts, just because of how much people will pay a media member depending on how good they are. I think he's probably one of the best, if not the best, ESPN analysis guy for the NBA right now. I didn't see the pregame involving Stephen A yesterday, but I heard it was really bad. But I guess that's what you get when he's a New York guy and the Knicks were there. But getting back to the playoffs, the Pacers obviously did beat the Knicks, like we mentioned, in 130 to 109. I got a question for you guys on this Pacers run. And it involves a specific player, and people are going to take this way out of context. I really am just doing this to get a feel for how you guys feel about this postseason run. Because I think it's hilarious that the Pacers defeated the Knicks a couple years after Wally Szczerbiak said that Tyrese is a guy pretending to be an all-star. Szczerbiak has since backed up on those claims and said that he didn't see this coming from Tyrese, because Tyrese is a great player, one of the biggest stars in the NBA right now. Is Tyrese's run right now with Indiana similar or different than what Trae Young's run with the Hawks was a couple years ago when they made the conference finals?
Oh boy, you really got me thinking. I'm trying to remember would they play the Knicks round 1, played the Sixers round 2, played the Bucks in the conference finals and lost. Does that sound right?
Yep.
I think the comp is there. Like, I can see what you're saying.
Again, Trae Young is still an unbelievable talent, and I'm telling people to go trade for Trae Young this offseason. So if anybody's thinking I'm trying to diss at Trae Young or Tyrese, as an Iowa State fan, I would never diss at Tyrese. But I'm just saying this, I don't know, this run to me seems similar, where it's like, I feel like next year they're going to have all these expectations, and then they may fall flat on their face.
I can agree with that point. And I can agree, like, both situations, you can argue there's asterisks. I mean, with the Pacers, the Knicks had all those crazy injuries. Heck, even their first, they played the Bucks. The Bucks didn't have Giannis. Dame was hurt. Like, you could argue that. But the Hawks, you could argue this, not injury wise, but they played Ben Simmons. And
that's an injury of itself.
That right there is, you're going to lose the series. That was peak Ben Simmons not wanting to shoot the ball. Like, we see now, we don't even talk about Ben Simmons anymore, but that playoff run was so bad, especially games, 5 through 7, when he wouldn't shoot the ball. I can vividly remember watching the game where he has it under the basket. I think Trae Young is on him, passing it to Matisse Thybulle, where Thybulle gets fouled. I think he misses some free throws, and that really cost him the game. So, I don't know. I could see the comp, but I
Do you
would
think
give a
this
little bit.
Pacers team is better than the Hawks? That Hawks team
It's
from a few years ago.
it's tough because I think right now with the playoffs, I think we overvalue a lot of guys based on a playoff run. Um, Last year, I know he still had a decent season, but Austin Reeves was like the next coming of Kobe Bryant and for the Lakers fans. Like they loved Austin Reeves. They're like, he's gonna be our third superstar. And now Lakers fans are putting him in trade rumors. With that Hawks team, they had John Collins, who played good basketball for once. They had DeAndre Hunter, who looked like one of the best 3-and-D defender or players in the league. And Trae Young was efficient, didn't turn the ball over, and wasn't a complete liability on defense in that series. But I just think that we have all these expectations for teams like the Pacers and that Hawks team, but I think we are going to be they are going to regress back to norm where I think they might still be the 6th seed, but they might not go on this crazy conference finals run.
All right, Hunter, get on your soapbox. I know you wanted to talk about the Pacers.
Here, it's my Iowa State fan club card. Put it right on the desk here. Tyrese Halliburton needs to get away from my glorious game of basketball, okay? I'm sick and tired of watching this man losing and pouting on the bench and complaining, and then all of a sudden they start winning by 15 points, and now we're going to start talking. This is what Michael Jordan talked about exactly in the Last Dance podcast. It's easy to talk when you're up. It is so easy. And this guy does it time and time and time again. And you know what? The Hawks didn't do that. The Hawks had a team where Trae Young was the leading assist man and the leading points man. Oh, where's Tyrese Halliburton? Meet flashy pass man. There's Miles Turner in the corner, and they win because half the other team gets injured. All right. This team will disappear off the face of the planet in 3 years. I guarantee it. Guarantee. 100%. The Hicks in Indiana can get as mad as they want at me, but it's happening. I'll take my Iowa State fan card back.
Oh, that was great.
That was perfect.
I mean, so you agree with me that this is a fluke? This is probably going to be a fluke.
It is
run.
a fluke run. It is such a fluke run. The difference is, and Ben Simmons is still Ben Simmons, right? But it's like at least the Hawks showed up and did their job against teams that were, the team, right? They had they had that matchup against the Knicks, the 4 and the 5, super exciting game, Madison Square Garden. Trae Young showed out. We saw it. It's quiet in here in MSG, right? We all remember that. And then even though they have Ben Simmons, they still had to get through Embiid, right? And we had that iconic John Collins, poster, and then he gets that on the T-shirt in the press conference right afterwards, right? Then they go against the Bucks. Obviously, Trae Young goes down. So does Giannis. And then, we see what team ended up being better. But yeah, we have not seen that with the Pacers because nobody that's the best player on the team was playing at full health at any point, really.
Does any part of the Celtics being eliminated by the Pacers in the in-season tournament have sway you guys at all involving this run or this upcoming series?
What sways me more is when Tyrese Halliburton gets injured because of the Boston Celtics run. I'm intrigued to see between Derek White, Jason Tatum, and Jaylen Brown who goes down for the Pacers injury luck run. Because we're about to see an entertaining Eastern Conference Finals with none of the best.
We already had it.
Tingus
is out. Tingus is out.
Ooh.
Well, here comes another one, Brock. I'm just warning you.
I swear, if game 1, it's literally game 7 of last year, first shot that Tatum puts up and he goes down, I will turn off the game and I will not watch the rest of the series. Because that game 7 last year was the hardest game I've ever had to sit through, knowing that he was not going to take himself out, but he couldn't do anything. So he just sat in the corner. Personally, if I do believe that if Ime Udoka was the head coach of the Celtics last year, Jason Tatum would have been on the bench in game 7. So I hope that doesn't happen again, and I hope Tingus can come back. However, if the Celtics do get up to a 2-0 series lead, and it sounds like Porzingis,
Are you kidding me? The Celtics are dropping game 2. They've
I mean,
dropped game 2 the last 2 series, and they've gotten smoked. It'll be 1-1
I know
going
that.
to Indiana.
I know that, but I'm saying the small chance
Okay.
that the Celtics go up 2-0. I'm not putting Porzingis in until you really need him.
Yeah.
And that's the thing for me. I'm more worried about them trying to push Porzingis back too soon. Because isn't it a similar injury to what Giannis had to deal with with the Bucks?
It's like the same exact thing.
And if they force him back too soon, knowing that they potentially have another series coming up in the finals, I know people are like, you shouldn't look ahead, but right now you do when it comes to that injury specifically, because yeah, if you win this series, that's great, but this team isn't a participation award team. Like they are out of the four teams remaining, there's only one championship or bust team in the conference finals, and is the Boston Celtics, and they need to play this injury situation with Porzingis strategically. If you don't need him, don't play him. But don't bring him, even if you do need him, don't bring him back too early to the point where it's going to ruin his season, the remainder of the postseason, and potentially the next season, depending on his health situation. Because let's be honest, Porzingis hasn't had a great history when it comes to his health.
I mean, if I'm, oh man, why am I blanking on the Celtics? Joe Mazzulla. Wow, couldn't think of that for a second. If I'm Mazzulla, I don't even put Porzingis in. I don't care if it's a 7-game series against the Pacers. Porzingis isn't playing until the finals, because you're going to need him way more against a team like Minnesota or Dallas than you are against a team like the Pacers. I don't see the series going 7 games. I think it's going to be done in 5, and Boston's going to be waiting patiently for either Dallas or Minnesota, which that series I believe is going to go 6 or 7 games. But if you're Boston, you just want to wrap this series up as quick as you can, because I believe that, I would say the general public believes Boston's either going to win the series in 4 or win the series in 5.
And that's why I'm scared. That's why I'm scared.
I will say too, I think even without, if you don't have Kristaps, I think the Celtics do, like, they'll have a fine time still matching up against the Pacers, because I think that would be the biggest concern, is like, all right, if we bring back if we don't have Porzingis here, like who do we put out there? And I mean, Al Horford, I was about to make a joke, probably shouldn't make it. Al Horford is not the same Al Horford as years past, depending on certain things that he may have been putting in his body to look like he was 26 years old again. However, I think he's still like a fine player defensively. I think he can match up still all right against Miles Turner. Even then, like, I mean, if you get game 5 Luke Cornett again, who knows? And honestly too, another thing you could do, I mean, maybe this is a time. I haven't seen him play too much, because he doesn't get, at least on the Celtics, I haven't seen him play too much. Maybe there's a time to break out, Xavier Tillman, see what he can do. Getting a body into, he's a dense guy. He's a good defender.
You like dense guys.
Exactly. Let's see like how he does against a guy like Turner, or even if you want to, you can even slot him against Siakam, and then you can open up the door a little bit more for Tatum on the other side of the ball.
Yeah, I'm Boston. I'm more worried about the matchup against Siakam than I am any matchup against Miles Turner or Tyrese Haliburton, because I feel like Boston has plenty of wing defenders.
I'm not worried about. That sounds terrible, because again, I shouldn't be speaking too soon, but I'm not worried about the Tyrese matchup versus anybody
because
compared to
Boston
the
could either throw Derek White or Drew Holiday at him the entire game, and he's going to be frustrated the entire game. Where it comes difficult is Siakam. I mean, you could throw Jason Tatum, who's played great defense this playoffs, but outside of Tatum, are you really going to put Horford on him and then risk Miles Turner being wide open under the basket every time? Or do you put a guy like Jaylen Brown, who might be a little undersized, to guard a guy like Pascal Siakam? But saying all of this, Boston's going to win this series in 5, I believe.
I mean, yeah, let's get into our predictions since we're getting close to wrapping things up here. Celtics versus Pacers. Dawson has the Celtics winning in 5.
Mm-hmm.
Hunter, who you got?
Can I opt out of choosing?
No.
Can both teams lose?
Honestly, can
Well-
I don't want to see this ever again on the face of the planet. Me saying these words, but Celtics in 4.
Oh, wow.
Give me the sweep. I will drink tears of fans if that happens.
So I'm just really used to being heartbroken, I guess, because I got Celtics in 7.
Ooh.
You know, based off of what's happened in the playoffs so far, that's not a bad guess. So,
And the history of the Celtics with this team. So, yeah, I'm going to take Celtics in 7. I'm not because I want to, just because I think that's my luck and that's what's going to happen. I swear, if they lose, I am done with
You
this
might as well hang it up
team.
because they ain't winning another championship with this core. Yeah, they're not. This is
And
their
you
best
can't
shot.
trade Jaylen Brown. You
No,
gave
you
him
can't.
that bag.
No, this is the team, and if they don't win it now, they're not going to win it with this team. I'm sorry, because guys like Anthony Edwards, guys like Luka Doncic, guys like Nikola Jokic, their teams are going to get better and they're going to get younger. So if you're Boston, you already have an old team. It's got to be this year.
I've said the same before, right? On this podcast
I don't think
about
so.
if it involves finding a female in your life. Have I said that before?
Maybe might want to reiterate
Okay.
it for the audience.
I highly recommend if anybody, including myself, finds a girl that loves you as much as the Celtics love to break my heart, for the love of God, please put a ring on that person. Because the Celtics love finding new and interesting ways to break my heart. So I'll leave you with that. But I got the Celtics winning in 7. And Dawson has the Celtics winning in 5, and Hunter's got the Celtics winning in 4. So if this was ESPN and I was able to do the investing, which I'm not able to do, I would be looking at the Pacers to win the series. Mavericks, Timberwolves. This is going to be fun because I'm going to
series.
I'm going to let you guys take it, because I guess I should be going this way since our cameras are set up that way. I'm going to let you guys debate it out because I'm assuming both of you are going opposite of each other. So, floor is yours. Whoever wants to start.
All right, Hunter, you want to go first or you want me to lead it off?
You got it.
All right. I've been on this team all year.
First, 1 sec. Dawson, you already lost because you asked who wanted to go first.
I
always go second. You always go second in a debate. But go ahead, Dawson.
All right. I've been on this team all year. I said they were going to be good. I didn't see this, but F it. We're sticking on the bandwagon. Give me the Minnesota Timberwolves in 7. And I think we're going to get the Kevin Garnett NBA Finals.
Yeah. as probably one of the biggest Kevin Garnett fans.
All right. Well, we all see this coming. I'm going similarly, taking my Mavs in 7. You know, I still respect the Wolves. You know, I'm not going to be as upset with the Mavs losing if this happens, but I'm going with Luka and Kyrie, probably averaging about 25 apiece each way. We'll get an occasional Derek Jones show out, and then, you know, I don't know who Tim Hardaway might have a game. Who knows?
PJ Washington.
Yeah, PJ will have his game.
Derek Lively.
Derek Lively, even
Derek
maybe.
Lively legacy game, 10 points, 10 rebounds.
But yeah, I'm intrigued. I'm really intrigued to see who the third guy up's going to be. You know, so far we've seen PJ be that guy a couple times, even ahead of Luka and Kyrie in the scoring column. But yeah, I'm intrigued to see if they're not able to get it done through, or Luka and Kyrie aren't able to get it done through this T-Wolves defense, who are they going to find as the hot hand and the open guy?
So it's funny that this is the matchup that we have, because I thought the Mavericks' peak was borderline finals, definitely conference finals, and they made it. Timberwolves, I didn't even think would make the second round heading into the year before anybody thinks, why would I think that now? Of course, I ended up taking the Lakers to the conference finals in our predictions, but we don't need to talk about that anyways. But no, I didn't even take them to just the conference finals. I had them in the finals because smart boy. But anyways, I just don't know if the Mavericks match up well against this Timberwolves team. And solely because of that, I'm going Timberwolves. And honestly, I think Luka's going to get frustrated really early, and that's going to be the downfall of the Mavericks, which has been a trend in their seasons, is that Luka sometimes can get frustrated, which leads to technicals, which leads to just issues. I'm actually going Timberwolves in 5.
Wow.
I think that I mentioned that this team is going to be here for a little. They're making a statement this run. I think that this series specifically, because I really am not impressed by that Nuggets series win, because the Nuggets have not played good all playoffs. They still want to make a statement, and of course, making a huge statement would be winning the title. But this is their chance to really show out, and doing it in 5 games, I feel like would be a great way to do it. They have home court advantage. You win the first 2 games at home, win 1 on the road, and then you can end it at the Target Center in Minneapolis, punch your ticket to the NBA Finals for the first time in franchise history, I'm pretty sure. I think the last time they were in the conference finals, it was versus the Lakers, and I think the Lakers had that was the year that the Lakers had Gary Payton, Karl Malone, and all those guys. Only reason I know that is Nebraska. I think I've talked too much about Nebraska men's basketball in this episode. Posted a photo of Fred Hoiberg. Definitely doesn't look exactly the same as he does now as a close to 50-year-old man. But either way, Timberwolves are going to go to their first finals. We're going to get the KG, like you mentioned, Dawson, the KG finals. Literally, have you guys? I'm assuming you guys have seen that video of KG talking about the odds or the situation of who he would cheer for, and he's like, basically the paraphrase, I don't care who wins. If the Timberwolves win, I'll be like, yeah. If the Celtics win, I'll be like, yeah. And I'm like, yep, that's Kevin Garnett to a T.
I know he said that, but deep down, who do you think he actually 51-49? Really? I would low-key lean Minnesota, just because the fact they've never won one, and he was the guy for so many years for that franchise, and they went to the conference finals once. I think he would be 51-49 to Minnesota, but that's just me saying it. That's just me.
The only reason I would sway towards the Celtics is because he won a title there, and the only person it seems like he hangs out with or talks to outside of the NBA now in his retired life is Paul Pierce, which I'm like, he's funny, but the more and more that Paul Pierce shows up on my social media feed, and Hunter knows, I think Dawson knows, Paul Pierce is probably my favorite basketball player as a Celtic of all time. KG is a very, very close second. It's getting closer to KG being number 1 and Paul Pierce number 2, just because of how much Paul Pierce opens his mouth for winning 1 title. They make it, again, that 08 team was really good. The supporting cast was really good, but they only won 1 title, but yet he acts like they won 3 or 4 in a row, when in reality, they couldn't even win with old Shaq. So, but I could see how he would want to cheer for the Timberwolves as well, because if the Timberwolves win, then he can rub it in Paul Pierce's face. But I don't know. Hunter, what do you think?
I'm kind of stuck. I feel like similarly, I'd probably lean Boston, but even then, like, I genuinely think he probably, I don't know deep down what he really would. I feel
I
like
think
deep
he's
down he's
showing up
still like, oh, let's go, I'm partying either way, you know.
He's going to the parade for either
yeah.
team.
Oh yeah.
Either way, he's going to be either at the Boston parade or he's going to be up in Minneapolis.
If he didn't end his career in Minnesota, I would have said Boston for sure because it seemed like that ending of the first tenure in Minnesota probably wasn't exactly what he wanted, and so maybe that left a sour taste in his mouth with that organization. But the fact that he went back kind of makes me feel that he may still have a soft spot for them, and obviously he's pointed it out that he doesn't care who wins, so he's going to be happy either way. But yeah. I guess it's more of what kind of connections does he have with both teams? Because if he's really close with Tatum and those guys, I think he's literally done like off-season training with some of the guys on the Celtics roster. Not saying that he hasn't with the Timberwolves. There's no way he hasn't worked out with Big Purr, Karl Anthony Towns.
Well, they were teammates, weren't they?
Yeah,
For at least a year.
Exactly. So like he's got connections to both teams. He's only played with players on the Timberwolves, but he's got connections. So I hope that he gets to be able to watch it and not care who wins, because that out of all the players in the NBA, I think he's one of the few that like legit wouldn't care. Because like you can have players that have played for multiple teams. Like if it was Miami versus LA in the finals 20 years from now, and they ask LeBron who he wants to win, LeBron would have like an opinion. And whether he says, I don't care, you would be able to read through what he's saying and figure out who he would pick. KG on the other end, I literally think KG just lives life. Kevin Garnett literally is just like, I'm here now. Some of the stories you hear about him while playing, good Lord, one of the best trash talkers in the sport. But yeah, I think we went on like a good 10-minute conversation about Kevin Garnett, or more of me. Sorry for being on my soapbox tonight, boys. But sorry, did we finish? Yeah, so Dawson went Timberwolves.
We didn't say our finals for like who's going to win the series between our conference finals games. So like who would win between mine, Celtics and T-Wolves, and Hunter's Celtics and Mavs, and your Celtics and T-Wolves. If we want to get that far.
I mean, I'm going to go Celtics in 7 again because that's just the Celtics for you, man. I say that as they've only lost 2 games this entire playoffs, and the games that they've won by 20. But like, I'm not used to that. I'm used to like close games, barely beating the 7-seeded Nets off of a spinning layup from Jason Tatum when they probably should have won by more. But so I'm going Celtics in 7 because until they can prove me wrong that they can just go through the playoffs with any issues, I am superstition on that stuff. You know, might have to break out some. I don't. For those that don't know, I don't own a lick of green. Actually, I do own a green sweatshirt that I think my girlfriend's parents gave me one year, and so last Christmas. So maybe I got to wear that for the finals. But I legit need to like stock up on Celtics gear because I just don't wear NBA gear for some reason. But yeah, Celtics in 7 over the Timberwolves in the finals.
Go Mavs in 6. Woo!
Ooh.
Gotta win at home. Gotta win at home.
All right. Sorry, Brock. T-Wolves in 7. Minnesota's finally getting their championship, bro. That city needs one. Yep.
He's out.
As he's gone. But Minnesota needs that title more than Boston does. Are you kidding me? Especially last 20 years.
What?
Then the city.
No, okay, maybe the city, but not the team. I'm sorry. I will fight people over that.
City, the city of Minnesota, Minneapolis. I keep saying Minnesota. Minneapolis needs that title.
I don't know.
Boston has the Red Sox who win the World Series every 5 or 10 years. They got the Pats who won way too many in 20 years. 6? And I know Boston hasn't won one since 2008. But Minnesota, the people of Minnesota need this.
Tough for people like me that became a fan of the Celtics for literally a year or 2 after that happened. I just want to win one freaking championship with one of my teams. And I can
Hey,
tell you right now, no. Arizona is not doing anything in the
Cardinals
next
Super
20
Bowl
years.
59 champs. Cardinals Chiefs.
If that happens, you're not going to ever hear the end of that.
As I probably shouldn't. They have no business beating the Chiefs.
They have no business of being in the playoffs, let alone the Super Bowl. I mean, they got basically the second coming of Larry Fitzgerald, apparently. But I want the closest right now, confidence wise, of one of the teams that I watch actually pretty much as scheduled network TV is the St. Louis Battlehawks. And even then, I'm not confident in them because it's the XFL. And yes, it is the XFL. Anybody that says it's the UFL is wrong. But literally, one game they'll play amazing, one game they'll be eh. And so, yeah, I just have bad luck. So I'm just looking forward to finding out how the Celtics will blow this one. So yeah, I mean, I think my
Wolves in 7. That's all I'm gonna say. I'm gonna
Wolves
keep
in
saying
7.
it for this playoff series and the next one. Wolves in 7.
I literally will cry, dude. If the Celtics make the finals, I am about 99% sure I'm gonna cry either way. Either I'm gonna cry out of pure frustration because they did it again. They found a way to lose the finals or a big playoff series, or I actually get to be happy for once involving sports. And how this year's went so far, I'm not feeling too confident. I mean, what was it? Super Bowl, I predicted the 49ers to win before the year. I bought a Brock Purdy jersey the week before, wore that. Dawson gets to celebrate a Super Bowl. Now I have to buy him a meal for that. I missed out on watching the Iowa State Cyclones punching their ticket to the Sweet 16 because someone scheduled a stupid wedding that weekend. And then I was like, oh, I'll just watch the Sweet 16 game then. And they absolutely crapped the bed. And I can go on how my year's been with things I'm passionate in. Oh, the school I love is finding ways to take more money from me. But yes, I'm it's okay. I'm good. Like, have either of you seen the Fall Guy yet?
Mm-mm.
Okay, the stunt man always goes like this to tell them that they're okay. This is me right now. I might have some bruises, but I'm okay. Ask me in a couple weeks whether or not I am okay or not.
Ask him about the third week of June, and we'll find out if he's actually okay.
Third week of June. Isn't that when
the finals
college football is coming out? Is it June 19th or is it July 19th?
I think it's July. If it was June,
sad.
oh man, I got to dial in.
Oh yeah, it's July because if I remember right, yeah. So it comes out the week before state baseball, and I'm going to be in a hotel room, I'm pretty sure, all week for state baseball. And so I'm just going to bring my Xbox. Going to be grinding out that college football 25. By the way, I'm assuming you both saw that trailer.
I may or may not have bought a PS5 this last week.
You bought a PS5?
I may or may not have pre-ordered the game already.
A PS5?
Yeah.
Bro, you're lucky there's crossplay.
Not in
better.
Dynasty.
Screw you, Hunter.
PS5 better, man. Sorry.
I bought the Xbox solely because it looked like a fridge.
Yep.
That is the only reason I bought it. I'm not gonna lie. And I think I think Xbox actually sells those as mini fridges now, which is hilarious. But I don't know. What did we talk the last 15 minutes about? Fred Hoiberg and Nebraska basketball, KG. How happy I am as a person. and college football 25. But yeah, we will just leave it at that. We'll sign off. Hour and a half episode. We'll definitely have to come back probably later next week, early next week or something like that to recap early conference finals matchups. I think they play every other day though, right? So everybody, so there's not going to be like a day that is open for us to just talk, but we'll make do with that. Maybe we'll just do a Timberwolves Mavericks game, so we don't have to have a post game meltdown of the Celtics fan over here. But either way, for Dawson Livingston, Hunter Rose, and Chase Winterbore, who hopefully we can find a way to get back on a podcast episode, I guarantee you I get a text within the next hour that says, oh, shoot, did you guys record? Which is fine. Chase is super busy. I mean, you know, you graduate college, get a job, and life happens. I don't know what that's like, but I will in due time. So for Dawson Livingston, Hunter Rose, and Chase Winterbore, I'm Brock Bierman. We are the crew for the Hardwood Convos podcast here on the 515 Podcast Network. Make sure to follow, subscribe, like, leave a comment, rating on any of the platforms on YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. But we'll sign off for the week. Enjoy the games. Should be 2 good series between the Celtics and Pacers, as well as the Timberwolves and Mavericks. So for the Hardwood Convos, we are signing off for the week.